22. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatyam Vyasam Tato Chayam Mudirayat Nashya Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakta Bhavati Nashtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatardi Shatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gautase Namaha Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from 4th canto, chapter number 22, where Pṛthu Mahārāja is having a discussion with Kumaras, or 4 Kumaras come to visit Pṛthu Mahārāja, and we read up to, I believe, text number 24, but nonetheless, we'll begin our discussion from 15th verse, just to do a quick recap. In text number 15, Pṛthu Mahārāja, after greeting the 4 Kumaras, asked a question to 4 Kumaras. Tad aham krita vishrambha surdo vas tapasvinam samprachya bhava etasmin shema ken anjasa bhavat. Okay, thank you. Screen is visible. So here, Pṛthu Mahārāja asked a question. I am completely assured that personalities like you are the only friends for persons who are blazing in the fire of material existence. I therefore ask you how in this material world we can very soon achieve the ultimate goal of life. We have a mixed audience here, so before I start having a discussion on what is the answer given by the 4 Kumaras, let's clarify what is the ultimate goal of life. Everyone, what could be the ultimate goal of life? Any thoughts? Can you all come here? The space can be left empty. All the boys can be here and scoop in here. No, you can come here straight in the middle. Yeah. What is the ultimate goal of life? What is the goal of life for you? Okay, bhakti. What else? What is the ultimate goal of life? What do you deeply think about it? Yes? Go back home, back to Godhead. Okay. Is there anything else? Get a better job to serve Guru and Guranga? Because the answers which the four Kumaras is going to give, that will make sense if we a little bit relate to the ultimate goal of what Pṛthu Maharaj is asking here. It's not asking for a material aspiration. So like this, Pṛthu Maharaj asked the question, what is the ultimate goal of life? Not the ultimate goal of life, how to achieve the ultimate goal of life? And then from text number 18, our Sanat Kumar began to speak. Text number 18, I'll just read the translation because we have already covered this section. Sanat Kumar said, My dear King Pṛthu, I am very nicely questioned by you. Such questions are beneficial for all living entities, especially because they're raised by you who are always thinking of the good of others. Although you know everything, you ask such questions because that is the behavior of saintly persons. Such intelligence is befitting your position. So, like that, Sanat Kumar acknowledged and glorified the inquiry asked by Pṛthu Maharaj. Text number 19. Again, I'm just doing a quick recap here. When there is a congregation of devotees, their discussions, questions, and answers become conclusive to both the speaker and the audience. Thus, such a meeting is beneficial for everyone's real happiness. Again, they're talking about the importance of the right inquiry. And now in text number 20 and text number 21, they'll give the answer. So, how to attain the ultimate goal of life? So, you're saying bhakti, you're saying seva, you're saying going back home, back to Godhead. If somebody asks this question to you, how would you answer? Hey Mahajano, मेरा प्रश्न है, how can I achieve the ultimate goal of life? This is for all those who have been practicing devotees. What would you say? Chant Hare Krishna. Make sure every day you chant 16 rounds Hare Krishna Mahamantra and follow 4 regulatory principles.
By rising above our...
Yeah, this is for those who have been practicing. They know, at least Bhakti Shastris, I would assume, that level of fellows. What would you say? 16 rounds, 4 regulatory principles? How many of you agree? This is the answer which will say, this is what is needed to attain the ultimate goal of life. Raise your hand. Online devotees? I can see online devotees, right? Yeah. What do you say? 16 माला नाम जप और मनुष्य के समान जीवन जीना. 4 नियम का पालन करना मतलब क्या है? मनुष्य योनि का पालन करना ना? Nobody agrees that chanting 16 rounds and following 4 regulatory principles will help us attain the ultimate goal of life. Seriously. तो मतलब अभी तुम क्या कर रहे हैं? It's like a starter. So what will you give an answer? What is according to you? Dealings with devotees will be as important as chanting. Dealings with devotees. Oh, that's so complicated. Okay. Yes, Riteshwu? Surrender to the lotus feet. Lotus feet. When it is about surrender, then we see the lotus feet as cactus feet. Guru Dev is so strong, so strict. बहुत डांटते हैं. What was lotus until yesterday became cactus when we begin to surrender. So instruction चुपती है ना? When you're asked to do something, then it pinches. क्यों बोला मुझे ऐसे? बस क्लास में कहने के लिए आसान है surrender. बोलने का नहीं. Okay, what else? Okay, so let's take a look at what is actually needed to make advancement, to go to that destination which we're talking about. Every day we say the goal of life is to attain Krishna Prema. Text number 20 and text number 21. अस्तीव राजन् भवतो मधुद्विषः पादारविन्दस्य गुणानुवादने रते दुरापा विदुनोति नैष्टिकी कामं कषायं मलमन्तरात्मनः
कषायं मलमन्तरात्मनः
अस्तेव राजन् भवतो मधुद्विषः
अस्तेव राजन् भवतो मधुद्विषः
पादारविन्दस्य गुणानुवादने
पादारविन्दस्य गुणानुवादने
रते दुरापा विधुनोति नैष्टकी
रते दुरापा विदुनोति नैष्टिकी
कामं कषायं मलमन्तरात्मनः
कामं कषायं मलमन्तरात्मनः
अस्तीव राजन् भवतो मधुद्विषः पादारविन्दस्य गुणानुवादने. So somehow ena tena prakarena we have to be able to get hold of the lotus feet of the Lord. For that, what needs to happen? Ratir durapa vidinoti neshtaki. For that to happen, to be able to get hold of the lotus feet of the Lord, first thing qualification required is rati, attraction. Rati also means love. I'm not going into the definition of love, but let's begin with attraction, affection. दुरापा विधुनोति नैष्टकी. विधुनोति मतलब खत्म कर देना. विधुनोति, धोबी पटकते हैं ना कपड़ों को. विधुनोति, they're destroying the dirt from the clothes. विधुनोति नैष्टकी कामम कषायम बल अंतरात्मनः, and to become free from kamam, malam antaratmana, all kind of material desires. Translation: Sanat Kumar continued, my dear king, you already have an inclination to glorify the lotus feet of the Lord. Such attachment is very difficult to achieve. But when one has attained naistic, unflinching faith in the Lord, it automatically cleanses lusty desires from the core of the heart. So what do you understand from this? What is needed? Attachment towards glorifying the Lord, hearing the glories of the Lord. Tada rajas tamo bhava kama lobha dayachaye chaita ete anavidham stam satve prasiditi. One who develops this desire and inclination to glorify the Lord, to hear the glories of the Lord, then kamam kashayam mala antaratmana. So how to attain the ultimate goal of life? The first thing is, again, you're chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamanta, 4 regulative principles are very basic and fundamental. But how do we attain that goal of life is one who has developed rati, developed attraction, affection. And one of the things for which Srila Prabhupada emphasized is book distribution. Of course, book distribution can be seen from very different perspectives. Prabhupada said book distribution is Madhukari, modern day Madhukari, where Madhukari, why would in the past sages will do Madhukari? Because that was one of the easiest way to humble oneself, to destroy one's false ego. Go on door to knock and ask for something. Somebody may give you something, somebody may chase you away. So same thing to destroy one's false ego or to become humble, Prabhupada said, okay, go out for book distribution. Second aspect of book distribution, going out for book distribution is, it gives us the opportunity to glorify the Lord. We get to speak to people. We get to tell people about who Lord is, and different aspect of it. Third aspect of book distribution, how this one service that Prabhupada created. I don't know how do we look at book distribution. It's not that through book distribution Prabhupada created a system of fundraising or something like that. Or something Prabhupada just wanted to get his book out. He was so egoistic. He wanted his book to be promoted. No, not like that. He was promoting Krishna's words. So I do understand we all have a little laziness and that always this hitch to go out and do it. But that's something when we go out and do it. How many of you have recently gone on this Sunday? Raise your hand. How many of you were happy that you went? Please raise your hand. How many of you are actually happy that you went out? The reason I'm asking is, in the beginning, it's a basic human emotion. In the beginning, we would have felt all kind of hesitation. I have to do this, I have to do that. Oh, we'll go out. There's so much tiring, so much effort, this and that. People will not listen to me. I'm not qualified. We have all kind of reasons. Once you go out, there is a certain level of satisfaction. Only one who does it will get it. And that is a point being mentioned here. Rate durapa vidunoti nashtaki. How do we develop that rati? One who have developed attachment, which is very difficult to achieve, but you have got it. What? You got an inclination to glorify the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As I was saying, rati means love also. When somebody loves someone, that person cannot stop talking about that person. For example, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he often says, not publicly, but in the closed room discussions, what do I like? I only like to speak about Krishna, Krishna Katha. This is in context of, sometimes you'll have to give Prerna lectures, corporate programs. You can't really directly speak Krishna Katha there. So Maharaj would always say, where are you taking me for all those things? I like to do Krishna Katha. Let me speak about the Lord. Don't make me, but for the need for the service, Maharaj will have to do that. But I'm just saying, this is what is the idea. You cannot stop. And the reason I'm quoting example is because once he starts the lecture, we don't know when the introduction will end and when would lecture start. By the time you are thinking, okay, बस बहुत हो गया, अब उठने का समय आ गया, Maharaj saying, thank you, lecture ends. Maharaj says, okay. So now we'll start the lecture. We all have had that experience. Okay, I'm just giving I'm giving an example because some of you had been in yatras, so you can relate what it means. As Sanat Kumar was saying, you're so fortunate that you got a desire to glorify the Lord. So again, the question is, how do we attain the ultimate goal of life? Now, text number 21. That answers. Interestingly, none of you had an answer for it. Therefore, I'm emphasizing so you remember, memorize what Sanat Kumar said. How do we actually attain to the ultimate goal of life? Otherwise, we are somehow so much comfortably settled. 16 वाला हो गया बस. Welcome back to get ticket आ चुका है. Okay, text number 21. शास्त्रेषु इयान् इवा सुनिश्चित नरणाम्
शास्त्रेषु विहानिव सुनिश्चितो नरः
क्षेमस्य सदृक् विमरेषु हेतुः
क्षेमस्य शत्रे कुलेषु
असंग आत्मा वयतिरिक्त आत्मनि
असंगात्मा वैदिकात्मनि
दृढारते ब्रह्मणि निर्गुणे चया
ते ब्रह्मणि निर्गुणे जया
असंगा आत्मा वैतरिक्त आत्मनि asanga. So we have to simultaneously develop detachment. Dhrarate brahmani and develop attachment. Detachment from what? Our material goals and material aspirations. Now that becomes a very tricky subject. On this side, on my left hand side, I see all the young bachelors are sitting. On this side, some congregation is sitting, and all of you are still young in terms of those who are bachelors. They have to get settled. They have to raise a family. How can they function without having any material aspiration? It doesn't make sense. Those of you who are married, who have still young kids, you still have to carry a responsibility to maintain family. How can you cultivate detachment? And then Dhrarate Brahmani, the point is, to the degree we become detached from material aspirations, that is only possible to the degree we become attached to the Krishna. Getting the point now? Unless we are attached here, we are becoming attached here, we cannot become detached here. But how to live our life? We have to live our life in this world also. We have responsibilities. And whatever is my need, according to that, I've accepted responsibility. Well, let's say Grihastha the Lord have created this. It is Lord who created male and female relationship, everything. It's all have come from Lord. And in the same world, Lord comes and teaches. And most of the devotees, the great, the best of the Paramahamsas, not that they're renounced externally, they all have been Grihastha. Bhagavad Gita was spoken not to a great sannyasi, although we might one way think that this book of detachment should be idly spoken to somebody renounced or ever spoken to Arjuna. So any thoughts onto it? Because unless we see that level of relevance, these verses don't make any sense to us. I'll read the translation nonetheless, and then you can think and let's see if anyone wants to add. It has been conclusively decided in the scriptures, after due consideration, that the ultimate goal for the welfare of human society is detachment from the bodily concept of life, which means all aspirations, all material aspirations, mundane aspirations stemming from our subtle body. That's bodily concept of life. And increased and steadfast attachment for the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental, beyond the modes of material nature. Any thoughts onto this? how can we do it? You don't have to invent anything. You just have to remember about the lives of any of the great personalities. Maybe Pṛthu Maharaj, what we're talking about. Well, he is the Shakti Avatar. We can talk about, what was that? Priyavrat Maharaj from the fifth canto. How did he live his life? He didn't want to get married. He was, instructed to get married. Then how did he live his life? He went back home, back to Godhead. So, any thoughts about it? Because you cannot be active in your material life if you don't have material aspiration. You cannot take care of family responsibility if you don't have some aspiration. And yeah, yes, Kaushal?
We both have to be connected together, seeing that all the
Correct.
relationships that we have
Yeah.
are primarily given by the Lord as a responsibility to
Okay.
take care.
So first point is to see everything in relationship to the Lord. So at least begin with that thing. My life, my family members, my relatives, this is all gift of the Lord. And I, in a certain position as a son, as a father, as a husband, as a brother, as an individual in the society, I have certain responsibility to render, to carry out, to services to render. Okay, very nice. That should be the mindset. What else? Hand raised online. Who is there? Yes, yes. Whoever is online, please go ahead. Mother Ankita. Yeah.
Bhagavad Gita says, Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti यः. So, अनाश्रितः कर्म फलम, फल का आश्रय ना लेकर और कर्तव्य मानकर अपना कर्म करना चाहिए.
Okay, yes, correct, which is also very nice. That becomes Karma Yoga. And that state eventually comes through purification. So that should be the goal, that should be the aspiration. Very nice. Good. What else? So Kamalath was saying, कर्म करते रहो as a matter of duty. कर्म के फल के प्रति आशा मत रखो. At least again, it's a mindset. Practice may it will happen eventually as we become purified, which is valid. Anything, any other thoughts? How can we do that? While living in this world and not getting attached is so difficult. You know, Frankly speaking, it's very easy for me to speak all this while sitting here. Well, I don't have to go out and work for my living. When I don't have to go out and deal with all kinds of people. When you have to go out and make your living, you have to meet with all kind of people. Their energy is going to affect you, without a doubt. So it's very easy for somebody to announce out one way to say that. And just say, okay, be detached, become attached to Krishna. It's okay. But those who are, because I have also lived my life, right? I have worked outside. But when you're outside in that life, it's not so easy. You may have a very nice morning program, but when you go out, then the rest of the day when you're meeting different people, your office responsibilities, their energies begin to influence us. And you suddenly see your friend going to America. And you're totally settled in your life being in India, then you feel, hey Bhagwan, come some ek baar America ke darshan mujhe bhi ho jane chahiye. I'm just saying, thought can, desire can have, it's just so much possible. What could be? Mindset is discussed. What else can be done? That system is also designed by the Lord only. System is given by the Lord only. Yes, Neeraj Prabhu? Again, we don't have to invent anything. Everything is given.
Use the result of that, whatever the karma we are doing in service.
Okay, so you get some result, you use that purifies us. Perfectly fine. So now through your action, you get some results, you do some donation and all that. So that purifies our consciousness. It helps us moving forward. Okay. To become detached and to become attached. What else? To become detached from material aspiration. Of course, the path of purification, valid points. Yes, Bhajani Prabhu, you're saying something?
I guess.
Even in that situation, there is always a risk of you may contribute today, but you know the nature of mind is. Tomorrow it may say, "Arey nahi, hamara kharcha बढ़ रहा है, हमारी needs बढ़ रही हैं." So maybe I should, reduce my contribution. So, there is always a risk of it. But I'm saying, what path, what is the direction we can take, where we can keep on moving forward so that we come to this level of consciousness, what Kaushal said, what Kamalath said, work without desire for fruits, see everything in relationship with the Lord, like that. It's a mindset, good mindset. Yes, Mahārāja Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I guess same question is in Bhagavad Gita, first 6 chapters. So, Varnashram falling under the jurisdiction of Varnashram.
Chaturvarnya maya shastram guna karma vibhagasha. That is the point. Varnashrama. We all have to, like in Brahmachari ashram, we always say that if you have to sustain and survive in Brahmachari ashram, you have to create a strategy for yourself. And every individual have to create his own strategy to survive. It is not that chanting 16 rounds and falling 4x is going to survive you. Yes, this is basic foundation without a doubt. It's like kavach. It helps you. But then rest of the day, there's so many things happens. Ultimately, you are a human being. You are a conditioned human being. The emotional turmoils will happen. Sometimes your wishes will be sanctioned. Your wishes will not be sanctioned. Comparison will happen. Competition would happen. Heartbreak would happen. Whatnot. All things will happen. How would you sustain yourself? So everyone have to create their own strategy for survival. Similarly, those who are working, they have to create a strategy for them. So they have to have a clarity of plan. I'm of this age. Let's say I'm 35 years of age. I have got this thing. I have got this much responsibilities. How can I manage my responsibilities? What is my plan for the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? When you have that clarity and when you work according to that clarity, then you can set a boundary for yourself. This is the boundary within which I want to function. For example, imagine, I'm just giving it hypothetically, if you don't have a clarity of our life, how our life should function. Imagine you get an offer from a company tomorrow that is giving you double paycheck and that gives you an offer, but to have the double paycheck, you have to move to, let's say, some Alana Falana country, let's say China. Now you may not get association of devotees. You're very well settled here. If you don't have a clarity of how much is my financial need or what is my plan 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, the job offer can trick us, can tempt us. And then what Kamalnath Prabhu was saying, what mind will say? You know what, I should go to China. Why? Because now I can double my donation. Nobody needs your donation. What is needed is you stay stable. This is how the mind tricks. So this is all of us go through that. So this point when it is said, Asanga Atma Vaitrikta Atmani Dhrad Rate Brahmani Nirguna Chaya. It is easily said, but not so easy to practice. We all have to have a plan. We all have to have a plan for ourselves, our life. How we're going to take care of our needs, what are the needs, define our needs, set a boundary. And time and again revisit it. Just to see, are we adding too many things to our needs? Or we are working comfortably? Ideally, when we are moving forward in our life, that the set of boundary that we have created for ourselves, for our material needs, ideally should shrink. Because, yes or no, for example, 5 years before, if I had to ask you, Prabhus, please set a boundary for yourself, what are your material aspirations? What are your material needs? And now if I ask you to do it, do you agree there would be a difference now? If you would have said that time, I need at least 5 lakh rupees for my monthly budget. Maybe today, because that time maybe you were doing too much shopping, maybe you were going out and eating outside. Maybe today you will say, yaar, 2 lakh mein bhi mera kaam ho jata hai. The material aspirations as they're going down, as they're getting purified, are material needs. So idea is, when you set a boundary, have an idea, have a plan for yourself, and then keep revisiting it. And check, are we expanding our boundary? Our boundaries are naturally shrinking. If they're naturally shrinking, you're on the right track. If they're expanding, something is off. Because as far as I see chanting and all that, I've seen it time and again, it ends up becoming a ritual. It ends up becoming a ritual. First it becomes a ritual, then after that, it depends on the association you have. And then you'll see some associations, some devotees, they're very good in car parking, they're chanting. Kal ka 4 mala, aaj ka 8 mala. And then some maintain a diary also, pending japas. I have personally seen pending japas. How many? 1000 mala. Cumulative from the last 1 year, 2 years like this. And they continue on like this. And for some reason, this reason, that becomes a habit. So it's not easy, we have to. So I'm just trying to help this point. And now from this point of view, if in case you're getting what I'm trying to say, we'll look forward what all. Sanat Kumar says to Pṛthu Maharaj, the question is only one: how do I attain the ultimate goal of life? We have made it very simple by saying chant 60 rounds, follow 4 ranks. It's a starting point. There are a lot of add-ons which we have to acquire to keep moving forward. Text number 22. Okay. So how does one achieve this? Sanat Kumar says there are 5 ways. Attachment for the Supreme can be increased because the idea is to develop rati. That is what going to help us attaining the ultimate goal of life. Antakale chamameva smaranukta kalevaram. Who would you remember at the end? For whom you have developed the most rati, attachment. But there is a catch. While you are talking about developing rati, it has to also come with detachment. If you say, I love God, I love Krishna, you cannot hate anyone else. Because if you have hatred or grudge or revengeful attitude for anyone, let me ask this question, think deeply about it. If somebody asks you, look at your childhood or look at your teenage years, look at your college life, what do you remember the most? Who would you remember the most? How many of you agree? The first person that will come to our mind is the one who troubled us. How many of you agree? Please raise your hand. How many of you agree? Please raise your hand. Be genuine about it. So when it is said asanga and rati, please understand, we just cannot say I love God and have hatred for anyone. It will not work out. What you would remember, antakale chamameva, you would remember that person who troubled you, for whom you have that feeling. You would not remember the Lord, how much ever you may externally say that I love God. It doesn't work like this. So therefore, this, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj says that, the famous statement of Booker T. Washington, of course this is a very standard statement of all acharyas, I will not let anyone kill my soul by making me hate them. It's a very important statement. Therefore, I personally get agitated when I see, somebody having this kind of a revengeful or grudgeful attitude towards anyone. You are a spiritualist. Let go. How can you then talk about karma when you know what happens according to law of karma, and then you have a grudge toward others? Let go. Of course, something has happened wrong. Action should be taken. Correction should happen. No doubt about it. But for our own sake, for our own well-being, just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Don't get caught up into these things. Yes or no? That is the idea of this attachment and detachment. So text number 22, how do we develop attachment with the Lord? We have to practice devotional service, 1. Second, inquire about the Supreme Personality Godhead, 2. Third, apply Bhakti Yoga in life. Again, Bhakti Yoga is what Prabhupada have given us a process, morning program, chanting, etc. Worship the Yogeshwaraha. Worship, so deity worship, the Supreme Personality Godhead. And by hearing and chanting about the glories of the Supreme Personality Godhead, if you see, more or less is a full morning program. You do the morning program nicely, all these 5 things are covered, yes or no? I mean, it's so important for every one of us if we can just do. And Prabhupada gave a sandwich program. Do this morning program, and the evening, go for your household chores, office responsibility. Brahmachari goes for book distribution services. In the evening, come and attend Gaur Aarti. Of course, Prabhupada added Bhagavad Gita class also. If not, at least Gaur Aarti. And then read Krishna book, and then retire, ideally. Well, of course, it's not practical today. After Gaur Aarti, our program starts. Time, place, circumstance, you have to see, but you get the concept. We have to see that way. How we can apply, again, it's our strategy. We have to strategize it. But that's the whole idea about it. Text number 23. So you start your day being Krishna conscious, and you end your day being Krishna conscious. That is a good training. We are on the right path. Text number 23. One has to make progress in spiritual life by not associating. Okay, again, how do we attain the ultimate goal of life? That's what is being discussed here. We have to give up on the material aspirations. We have to develop rati for the Lord. That is the point was being discussed. Become detached from material aspiration. And then we have to follow the 5 things, which is more or less everything as an item of our morning program. Now, what else do we need to do? Because this is a question I asked you and none of you had an answer. So I'm therefore emphasizing, please remember these things. Don't just think I'm chanting 16 rounds, everything's going perfect. What else need to be done? Text number 23. One has to make progress in spiritual life by not associating with persons who are simply interested in sense gratification and making money. Not only such persons, but one who associates with such persons should be avoided. One should mold his life in such a way. What is the meaning of mold his life? Strategize. Plan out your life. Carve your life. Strategize your life. One should mold his life in such a way that he cannot live in peace without drinking the nectar of the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. One can be thus elevated by being disgusted with a taste for sense enjoyment. I'm just speaking spontaneously. I didn't have planned. I was actually thinking to complete the chapter. I've not yet come to the verse from where we need to speak, but it's very interesting. Some thoughts are coming to my mind when I'm reading this. Okay, let's again ask this. I have a question to all of you to ponder upon. So, let's say our own family members. Some of them will definitely fall in this category. How many of you agree? Please raise your hand. I'm not saying husband, wife. I'm not saying family members, extended family members. No, you have to meet with them. They're family members. वैसे भी शादी का सीजन शुरू हो रहा है या हो चुका है. I'm pretty sure everyone will have to attend some marriage. So what you do? And sometimes you have to visit them for marriage ceremonies. You might be there for a couple of days together, and we all know. I've had two sisters. I've been in their marriage myself. I have to be, and all kind of conversation happens. There is no God consciousness to the remotest degree. What to do? Huh? Tolerate. Okay. Okay, tolerate. But the point is, you're still gonna get contaminated. The point here is not tolerate here. Point is avoidance. But Sanatana is not saying tolerate the association. He said avoid that association. Not only the association, those people who are doing it, who are money-minded, but those even who associate with money-minded people. मतलब इतना दूर रहना है जो खुद नहीं कर रहा है पर वो है उन लोगों का संग ले रहा है तो इसका संग भी अच्छा नहीं है आपके लिए. But the point is you cannot avoid. So what would you do? Okay, tolerate. But the point here is why Sanat Kumar saying avoid is because you're going to get contaminated. So question lies is how do we purify ourselves of the contamination that happens? You getting the point? That's the question here. Because it's unavoidable. Bhakti is not about breaking relationships. You have to go and carry out your obligation, responsibility. You have family meetings, you have professional meetings, you have professional events, some programs that happens that you have to go at times. How would you overcome this contamination when it happens? Yes.
So being present in
Mic, please. We have online devotees to take care. Association, something has been typed in. Devotees, those who are online, if you speak, that'll be better. You can just simply unmute and speak because I'm not really looking at the screen. Yes, please.
as these are unavoidable and we have to look for family things and all that. So being present in those conversations, for formality, as we do many a times.
Fine. Yet you're gonna get contaminated. You will not realize it then.
Yeah.
Please trust me. These things so deeply affect us, it would have affected your subtle body, and you will at that point of time think nothing has happened. But that conversation will come back. I'll give you one classic example. It's very interesting. Arjuna gives all those reasons in Bhagavad Gita. You know that? Oh, you know what I mean? Everyone knows. He gives those 5 reasons. I have always wondered from where did he got those clues for those 5 reasons? All of that was spoken by Dhritarashtra. When he sent Sanjaya, these were Dhritarashtra words which Sanjaya related to Pandavas in Virat kingdom. It's just like you, Pandavas just tolerated. What did he say? Formality. Pandavas did formality hearing Sanjay. Look, Arjuna speaks the same thing, Dhritarashtra's words. It's not that. Once you get contaminated, you are contaminated. You got to purify. If you don't purify, it will surface out. So don't say in a contaminating association if you go, that is not the Vedic Paddhati. If there is a contamination, you got to purify yourself, is the Vedic Paddhati. Contamination is never to be tolerated. What is to be tolerated is urges. It is never said to tolerate contamination. Contamination should not be tolerated, avoid it. And if you cannot avoid, then you have to purify yourself. I guess.
And the next step is, as and when you get time, then you should hear and listen, and somehow.
That becomes a part of purification.
Yeah, so
So
that
which means when you go out for family events like this, then you come back, at least for 1 or 2 days, please chant 32 rounds. Hear more. Now you are consciously preparing yourself to purify yourself what asat has happened. This is what I meant by strategizing your life. Otherwise, you may be very nice individual practicing very nicely because of family obligation or professional obligation. You have to step out and take some association. You have no fault at it. You get contaminated. How many of you agree once you go out for any such events, if you look back in the history, and you come back, your devotional service, if you look back, has always taken a hit. Morning programs become difficult. Our chanting again becomes to get stretched out for the rest of the day. Prior to that, we might be doing morning program nicely, we might be chanting in the morning, our Mangalati gets delayed. How many of you? It subtly makes a difference. It's a fact. It is going to happen. Similarly, for a Brahmana, when he goes in someone's house and accepts charity, let's say, he has to come and perform purification. He has to come and undergo purification because the charity is their karma. When you talk about Brahmanas going out house to house accepting charity or bhiksha and all that, or even, for example, I'll give you one example to help you understand. We are recently calling Madhva Brahmanas. They are coming. These Madhva Brahmanas would not even eat, even if I cook. They will not eat bhoga or prasadam cooked by anyone. They will only eat if either they cook or their servant cooks. Nobody. They're so careful of contamination. Madhva lineage is very strict about it. They don't allow even the shadow to fall on the sannyasi. They're very particular. So you might have seen, if you've gone to Udupi with me, you might have seen that, when the sannyasi comes, there are almost 4 or 5 people surrounding him. And even if you're offering, remember who was there with me at Kahan hum log? Madhvacharya's birthplace, Pajak Kshetra. So we were there in the mutt and sannyasi was doing worship. The moment sannyasi came out, some devotees offered and they were, why? आपने तो ऑफिस से ऑफर करा पर आपकी परछाई वहां तक जा रही थी. They said no, and they immediately came in front of the sannyasi, so parchai doesn't go to him. Now you may say this is too strict and all that. That's okay, but the point is, fact is a fact. Contamination is a fact. When things are said like this, don't even associate with the person who's associating with the sense gratifier, which means there is a subtle contamination which happens, which is going to affect our consciousness. Otherwise, why, if we are in the best path, we are in the best process, why we still have struggles? Why we still have fault finding, complaints, friction, this and that? Actually, put your hand at your heart and think about it. We have no other reason, but we have no other option but to float in bliss. And our heart should be full of gratitude because we have received something for which we are not qualified also. What does Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita? Who is qualified for Bhagavad Gita? Who is qualified for Bhagavad Gita? That's okay. But who's qualified? वो तो बहुत ही deep हो गया. No, that is okay. Who's qualified for Bhagavad Gita from the Varnashrama point of view?
Non-envious.
Evam parampara praptam imam raja rishayo viduhu. This knowledge is meant for the kings. कितने king हैं यहाँ पर? No, but fact is a fact, please understand. If you understand the fact, you should be floating in bliss. And your heart should be full of gratitude. We are not qualified. We don't have any patrata. We have no adhikar. Krishna is saying, Evam parampara, imam raja rishayo vidu. This knowledge is meant for the kings. Point is, we still received it. Shouldn't our heart be full of so gratitude? Shouldn't we be in bliss? Why we are not? Contaminations. Because process has no problem. Even your practice has no problem. Contamination keeps affecting us. Therefore, I tell our brahmachari for a reason. Don't too much associate with the parents if they're not favorable. No, Prabhuji, nothing will happen. Alright, you don't understand, you're getting contaminated. You have to maintain a distance. Speak once in a month, once in a week or something. If they become favorable, then you speak further. But you keep hearing them, you're getting contaminated, and you will remain troubled. You will remain morose, and you will vent out that frustration and that moroseness, saying that somebody else is responsible for my moroseness. But you're not understanding you're becoming morose because there is a contamination coming onto you. I getting the point here? So, point is, if anyone does anything, in terms of, we're talking about a little practicality of this verse, which is often repeated in Bhagavatam like this, do not take association of sense gratifier. Not only of sense gratifier, the one who associates sense gratifier, do not associate with them, because of contamination, subtle contamination. And that is what, again brings our conscience down. We again fight for this, fight for that. Ye nahi, wo nahi. This is all because of having a bad association, asatsanga. There is no other reason. Every day we are chanting holy names of the Lord. Every day we are taking darshan of the Lord. If that holy association, if we are taking association of the Lord, then where is the possibility we to have finding faults or complain? It's just because there is some contamination. Each one of us have to look into it. What is the source of that contamination? If not your direct communication, then it is social media. That is also asasanga, na? You're hearing to somebody, listening to somebody, watching somebody, they are this kind of people. It has to be affected. Can you imagine the parchai is not allowed on a Brahmana sannyasi? Technically, according to Brahmana tradition, I am sannyasi in that way, technically. Which means, here people come and touch feet. We say, no. Their parchai is not allowed. When anything like this happens, that people touch feet, I am supposed to chant extra rounds to purify myself. So don't consider 16 rounds does it. It doesn't function like that. 16 rounds are needed for you to just come onto the platform. And if case you're taking certain karmas of others through these actions, through somebody gives you donation, somebody feeds you prasadam, everything involves karma. Then you have to purify yourself. Come and do devotional service, chant extra rounds. So if you don't have this idea, if in case any one of you know traditional brahmanas, you ask them, when they do yajna for anyone, before yajna they do tapasya, and after yajna when they get dan, again they do tapasya to purify themselves of the dan that they received and the association of the grasta that they have taken. They have to perform, literally they fast for a day or so. Before yajna they're supposed to fast to prepare the consciousness, and after yajna when they get dan, when they use that dan for themselves and because they've taken association of a congregation, then they again have to practice tapasya. Maybe for a day that could differ. I'm just giving you a basic idea. Now, for example, we have this, Madhav Brahmin. They are so profound in their wisdom and their ability to catch on to the subtle energy. When they do Jyotish, it has to be correct. Now, if Jyotish is only a mathematic, it's a mathematics, yes, but it is also a science of revelation. Things are revealed. It is not only mathematics. On the external, it is a mathematics, but things are revealed. For that revelation, purity is needed. Therefore, they are like this. So when I was in this particular Brahmanas, when they were coming, Maika, really? Maika, when they come to ISKCON temple, Prabhu, nothing. If they are coming for more than a day, then what we can do is give them bhoga, give them a place, but they will cook for themselves. They would have had a 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours yajna. First of all, they will not eat anything until the whole Vasya, and after that also, they will only cook. We are so compassionate and kind to engage others. We say, oh, we are tired, you can cook, we can accept. Generally, it's okay. We have come from that background, so it's not our fault also, whatever. I'm just saying that's the level of purity that happens. So anyway, just a few thoughts. I hope I'm making some sense. You're able to get it? So when you get that, you have to perform additional bhakti to purify yourself. And you have to ask yourself, what is the asasanga for me? Now, those of you working, you have to plan out your weekend in such a way that at least you spend most of the weekend in devotional service. Of course, I'm not saying cut family time. FT has to be there. Family time is your personal family time. But if you don't have, just sticking to 16 rounds Hare Krishna mantra, it's just the starting of the process. Best thing is, Prabhupada have given a system for that also. With that 2 Ekadashis, plan out your month. 2 Ekadashis, at least on those Ekadashis, at least I'm going to chant 64 rounds. Of course, I'm saying it, I'm myself struggling to do that. I'm just hoping once things are stable in our life and we have our systems and our center and temples, maybe Krishna willing, I'll be able to do it. But at least, it is so important for me at least to do 64 rounds. Because how many people, what kind of people I meet? I need to do additional to do that. For leaders, it is compulsory. For leaders, it is compulsory, you got to chant 64 rounds on Ekadashi. So that you are able to, purify of all that contamination that have accrued of all kind of meetings, all kind of things that have gone around. Similarly for Grahastha is needed. I hope you're getting the context here. And you understand the background of these things, okay? Sorry, I got into details of it, but fine. What we were talking about, which was? 23. One has to make progress in spiritual life by not associating. Okay, we have read this already, right? One can be thus elevated by being disgusted with the taste for sense enjoyment. I hope the essence is you cannot be progressive in Krishna consciousness as long as you're taking a bad association, asasanga. It's just not going to work out. Asasanga is the only reason why devotees become faithless. Asasanga is the only reason why devotees find fault, why devotees become critical. Any situation like this happen, by the Shastra point of view, you can go and look into that person's life. He is getting some asasanga. He is taking some asasanga. Otherwise, it is not possible. Somebody who is associating with the deities, serving the deities, chanting the holy names of the Lord, then how can he have that kind of mindset, that kind of behavior? It is not possible. So any situation like this happen, ask yourself, if I am behaving like this, who is the asasanga for me? I'm not saying, look what Sanat Kumar says. By not associating with persons who are simply interested in sense gratification and making money. Now you tell me, whoever is your family member, if they're not devotees, are they in this category? It's not their fault, but they are in this category, na? So if you're taking regular association, wouldn't it affect you? It would affect. Text number 24. So we cannot avoid, we got to purify. That's the answer. And there's no question of tolerating contaminations. We don't tolerate. It has to be purified. Text number 24. So how can we make our mind more receptive to Krishna Katha? So this is now the verse where we concluded last time. So maybe I'll just talk about a recap and then we'll pass. Tomorrow onwards, we'll resume our discussion from the following verses. A candidate for spiritual advancement must be non-violent. Ahimsaya paramahamsya charyaya Smritya mukunda charitagrasidhuna Yamera kame niyameschapi anandaya Nirihya dvandva titikshaya cha. So according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a Kanishta Adhikari, a neophyte devotee, must compulsory engage in deity worship. I believe I would have spoken this in Ishopanishad lecture. Ishopanishad, we discussed this concept. Must compulsory, because we're talking about Sangha, Asat and Sat. Why a Kanishta Adhikari must compulsory do deity worship? It is not required for Madhyama and Uttama. Madhyama should be in preaching and Uttama is in bhajan. This is how the services are. But a Kanishta Adhikari should compulsory engage in deity worship. Madhyama is qualified for preaching. Uttama is bhajananandi. High level. Any thoughts about why Kanishta should be engaged in deity worship? If he has to make progress, he must take up to deity worship. Yes. Okay, so we'll develop a little bit attachment. Love to बहुत बड़ी चीज हो गई. Little bit attachment will develop. Because Kanishta means anything we do, we are result conscious. So we'll dress the deity nicely so the deity looks nice. So because I have done it. So at least some attachment will happen. And it purifies eventually, valid point, attachment. Why else? Yes, Pajani Prabhu?
Because in deity worship there will be rules and regulations by which
Okay.
you will become disciplined and purified.
So rules and regulation, you'll become punctual, cleanliness. Okay, very nice. What else? Mother Medamni says to develop cleanliness. Why deity worship? What else? What else deity worship will do? And in that famous shloka, Shavanam Kirtana Vishnu, Prabhupada writes in that, every grahastha must do deity worship. Deity worship means not exactly to have a pran pratishtha deity, this is deity worship. Have a frame, have deity worship. The things which Pajana was saying, cleanliness and all that, Prabhupada writes in the purport, why it is needed. Fourth canto also there is a verse like this. Learn to serve. The reason is because Kanishta can only serve the deities properly. Because his faith is in the deities, not in the Vaishnavas. When he'll serve the Vaishnavas, he'll find faults. That is a Kanishta, na? He is in the process or in the practice, or he has taken to it because his faith is deities is the Lord. But he does not have faith in Vaishnavas. So at least you go and do deity worship, you get purified, get basic etiquettes, get basic culture. तुम कहीं तो शुरू करो. Now you cannot make an advancement without the association of sadhu. But if a Kanishta gets association of sadhu easily, then that same association becomes a nightmare for him because he will commit aparadh. So therefore, go there, you be in the altar only whole day. 6 time offerings, so be better hai bhai. There ko barabar mein kamra de. I'm just saying, how it is decided. Tu wahi rahe, deity worship kata rahe. Now many are not even qualified deity worship. So what do we do? Because they are fault finders or they have done some gross mistake, we send them in backup. You understand why? I'm just giving you an understanding how it functions. We send them to backup. Because to come to deity worship also requires certain purity of mind, na? Then we send them in backup. This is such a potent place. If you enter into this area of deity worship, you will get purified, even if you're doing dasanudas. Then we send them to backup. Jao, tum agle 6 mahine tak backup karo, 3 mahine tak backup karo. Hoga, then you come to deity worship. Then you move to deity worship. Stay for the next 3-4 years in deity worship. Now you start associating with Vaishnava, take association. This is how this generally it functions, So we can take. Otherwise, sadhu, ninda, knowingly and unknowingly, we do a lot. Particularly when we have devotee association or sadhu association easily available, then it happens a lot. I see that in ashram. It just so happens so easily. Okay. What I was speaking about? I don't know why I was making this point. Okay. Text number 24 we were reading, right? I recited the shloka, correct? Yeah. A candidate for spiritual advancement must be non-violent, must follow in the footsteps of great acharyas, must always remember the nectar of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, must follow the regulatory principles without material desire, and while following the regulatory principles should not blaspheme others. A devotee should lead a very simple life and not be disturbed by the duality of opposing elements. He should learn to tolerate them. So Ashish, what is supposed to tolerate? Dualities, not contaminations, not aparadha. Only thing which has been said to tolerate is only one thing. Matas pashas to kaunteya, or matas pashas. Matas pashas to kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkha, duality, tam titikshva. So only tolerance is for that. And of course, tolerance for our own, anarthas, we need to tolerate that also. Over a period of time, it gets purified like that.
In that situation where you cannot avoid it, like given that example.
Mike, please, Ashish. Oh, that asasanga.
Yeah, in
for that, you have to be there, no problem. Yeah. But then you have to come back and purify yourself.
Yes.
By spending some good quality time in service.
Sometimes it happens that you have some bad feelings also, like someone is talking about some worldly things and you are not interested.
That would be natural.
Then you have to tolerate that, that way actually.
That is all fine.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you're still getting contaminated. You're just tolerating the inconvenience,
Yeah.
but your consciousness have anyways got contaminated.
Correct, yes.
For that, we need to purify.
Purify, yes.
What you're tolerating is your interpersonal inconvenience.
Yeah.
That is all again bodily consciousness. You like to hear, not like to hear, ichha dvesha samuthena. But the point is, our consciousness have got contaminated, we got to purify, come back and maybe take some break, chant some extra note here. At Kanishta se, the best is take sadhu sangha.
Correct.
वो घर में बैठ के नहीं होता. To think that we'll watch a recorded lecture, or recorded lecture YouTube पे शुरू होगा, बीच में कोई trailer आएगा, and we'll go to movie.
Yeah.
In generally, it's easy to get distracted at Kanishta. That's the point here. Okay, so, this is the point. Okay, let's read some part of the purport. So text number 24, second paragraph. I'm going to make this as the last verse for today. Text number 24, purport, second paragraph. If you see in the middle of the purport, life should be molded. The word smritya hai na, uske baad wala. Smritya means remembering Krishna always. Anyone found it? Please, Kaushal will read out.
Life should be molded in such a way.
Again, you used to see the word molded. We have to, it is not said just chant 16 hours will work. It doesn't work like this. Life should, we have to plan, we have to strategize our life. Go ahead.
Life should be molded in such a way that one cannot remain alone without thinking of Krishna. We should live in Krishna so that while eating, sleeping, walking and working, we remain only in Krishna. Our Krishna consciousness society recommends that we arrange our living so that we can remember Krishna. In our ISKCON society, the devotees, while engaged in making spiritual sky essence, are also hearing about the glories of Krishna or his devotees. The Shastras recommends
Okay, so that's the
Smartavya.
point. Krishna should never be forgotten. That's the whole idea. Like this. Very nice. Read the next paragraph. Next paragraph. Another important point mentioned in this connection is.
Another important point mentioned in this connection is Anindaya. We should not criticize others' method of religion.
Now, a question can be raised. I don't know if you can really explore and research it out. Maybe some other time I'll have a whole discussion. How our acharyas would criticize others' methods of worship. How our Gaudiya Parampara sees that. Because we are not supposed to criticize. By the way, sadhu is not supposed to criticize anyways. Now, how about criticizing other methods of religion? Do we supposed to do that? Okay, let me ask you. How would Prabhupada criticize, find faults with other religions? Let's say Christianity, Islam for that reason, Buddhism, anything for that reason. How would Prabhupada do that? Yes, Pradyumna Prabhu, mic please. No, how would Prabhupada do that? How would Prabhupada criticize? See, criticism is, if you are training students, you have to help them see what is right and wrong. Na? So what is the fault? You have to explain the fault. Otherwise, how would the student know what is fault? So how it is done in our parampara? Prabhupada manifested that beautifully. Okay, Kaushal Prabhu?
Probably by asking questions.
Okay, by asking questions. Okay, yes. Vajra Prabhu.
Guruji, what I have seen beyond illusion and doubt, Prabhupada never criticized the person, he criticized always the philosophy.
It was always discussion centered around philosophy, never a person. Because when you do a person bashing, you're creating a personal enmity. That we should be careful. Yes, Prabhupada said something about Vivekananda or uske guru kaun the? Ramakrishna Paramahansa. It was all private conversation. Now, Prabhupada's life was so public, his private life was also public. Conversations were recorded, they turned into book, and devotees read it, and sometimes devotees think, oh, Prabhupada said, we can repeat. And they got public forum as a Vivekananda. Prabhupada never did that. It's like a closed room where there's no recording, as such, no live streaming. Prabhupada said something. You will say that, na? But publicly it has never happened. That's the point here. We should be careful. Others' methods of religion, we should not get into that conversation, because Krishna says in third chapter, do not dissuade the ignorant. Let them do what they're doing. If they are aligning with some Vedic path, just encourage them. That's the point. Now, why we should not criticize? That is one thing. Why should we not criticize? What is our interest? What happens when you criticize others? Huh? Generates ill feeling. Okay. Okay, very nice. Yes?
We get contaminated.
We get contaminated. What does that contamination means here? What does contamination means here when you criticize others? What does contamination looks like?
We get,
We start to feel superior. Very nice.
but we criticize, we get their fault by thinking
Okay.
about that. Talking
Thinking about that fault. What else? Point is, our mind gets agitated. Everything what you're saying is mind gets agitated. Our job profile is to remember Krishna. By criticizing others unnecessarily, we are forced to forget Krishna. Therefore, Rupa Goswami, when that Kashmiri had come, Keshav Kashmiri, he said, I accept defeat. I don't want to argue or debate with you. Because I don't want to have an opportunity where I forget Krishna by debating with you. Now, Prabhupada would debate because Prabhupada was acting at Madhyamadhikari's position to preach. So, preacher can do that, it's a different thing. But they were at the stage where they're like, we got nothing, 24/7 we have to remember. So, these are some of the things to get an idea. Another feature of the devotee is simple living. Nira means gentle, meek or simple. The devotee should not live very gorgeously and imitate a materialistic person. Last paragraph. Plain living and high thinking are recommended for a devotee. Krishna Chandra Prabhu from Chopati, millionaire. I remember I was in the Saturday morning class. He came to temple. He came in something like, choti car hoti na, Wagonar jaisi. I was not Wagonar, little, but Wagonar जो वो से segment की जो गाड़ी होती है, मैंने कहा यार कौन गाड़ी से निकला है? He came from that car like this. It was interesting. Of course, for his business side, he would have, because you have to maintain certain social, he will have a car like this. When he came to the temple, he just came like another ordinary person like this, simple. Devotees become very conscious about these things. Plain living, and I think I recommended. He should accept only so much as he needs to keep the material body fit for the execution of devotional service. Mano na mano, if you become very flamboyant, or you become too much, cozy living or comfortable living, you can't stop. But Vaishnava community will start saying, yaar, ye bahut zyada hi maya mein phaste ja rahe hain. That you cannot avoid. Now you don't come and say, Prabhuji, log hamare bare mein ye keh rahe hain. You have to be, मतलब तुम जीवन ऐसा जी रहे हो, जीवन शैली ऐसे जी रहे हो, तो सामने वाला कहेगा ना, when you read Prabhupada's purpose, simple living, high thinking, do the needful thing. And for needful thing, you do certain, too big, and you will talk. I remember when I had to purchase a car, I had so much pressure. Everyone saying, don't buy an expensive car, don't buy this and that, ye karke. Ultimately, I settled with buying a 10-year-old second-hand car worth $5,000. You have lived in America, so you understand what is the value of $5,000. ऐसा था कि कोई देख के भी नहीं कहेगा, हाँ ठीक है मदन सर ठीक है, सरल है बेचारा. I remember I had so much pressure that time. Devotee community, what will they speak? अरे वो महंगी गाड़ी लेकर आ गया, ऐसे कैसे कर सकता है ये सब? So it happens, you can't avoid it. Simple eating for living and not living for eating. Sleeping only to 6 to 7 hours a day are principles to be followed by devotees. As long as the body is there, it is subjected to the influence of climate changes, disease, and these other things. Prabhupada speaks about it. Tam Sritakshwa Bharata. All right, so we'll pause here. I thought we were meeting after a while, maybe, I don't know, maybe a month or something. So it's a very important chapter, teachings of Sanat Kumar. So I thought I'll just do a recap. Tomorrow onwards, today is what, Tuesday? So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So at least we have 2 more classes. So we'll try to discuss from 25th verse onwards tomorrow. Thank you all for your kind attention. Anyone has any question or comment? Okay, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.